What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Comment Writers. We are a Kamen Rider review podcast. Today on the show, we're going to talk about Kamen Rider Gav Episode 7. I'm your host, Josh Meek, the Uber Geek, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Toby Tobes. So I've got a question for you.
Okay, I had a question for you too, but you go first.
Mine's very short. Why is no shirt, no shoes, no service? Why does that not include pants?
Do you know there's a but? I don't know. A, I don't know. But B, there's like, if not specifically Jackass itself. Over the years, I've seen videos of people walking into stores with no pants.
With no pants for that
because
reason?
it's on the list, or it's not on the list. And it just seems like it's a miscue. Doesn't rhyme with the alliteration, perhaps.
Well,
now,
so yeah,
you go no shirt, no slacks, no shoes, no service.
I like that. Yeah,
and those skirts can fit in there too. Like, cause then we're gonna get. Well, I'm gonna wear a skirt in the store, but you can't now because we made it one of the things. The 5 no's of S's of retail.
It was suggested. So it dawned on me today that pants aren't included on the list. I hadn't really ever thought of that before. And it was suggested that maybe just like people walking in without pants isn't as big of an issue. Like it didn't need to be on the sign because it didn't come up as often. And you're paying by the letter in old timey signs probably. So maybe
apparently
it's just an efficiency of of lettering.
Apparently, the first result is back in the 1970s. This rule was put into place to keep hippies out because they'd always be in there with their long flowing hair and no shirts, dancing around with their stink feet. So it's like an anti-hippie law that was created here in the 1970s.
Wow, I didn't realize that we were oppressing hippies with the no shirt, no shoes, no service sign. That's ridiculous.
They are not protected.
I'm surprised it didn't say like no shirt, no shoes, no
keep
soul
your reefer to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. No faint smell of the wacky weed coming in here.
I like that the first result that comes up is actually a law firm. Like, I asked Google why this is a slogan, and a law firm came up first to debate the legality of banning hippies with these slang terms.
Oh, I just Googled it as well. And one of the top questions on Reddit is, if a business has the rule of no shirt, no shoes, no service, what if you wore no pants instead?
See, everyone always makes it weird right away.
Yeah.
We always got to swerve it to these, these dark places.
Yep. Toby, what's your question?
This is more of a political outrage, I'm going to call it.
Oh, I love political outrage.
Josh, today I'm firing at the greatest market of all time, the food agenda here in the world.
Oh, we're coming for big food.
Big agro, whatever their little blanket's called, their umbrella of protection.
We're big MSG. Here we go. We've already come at big MSG.
This is even bigger.
All right.
This is like mom and pop selling their fucking tomatoes on the sidewalk. We're going
coming
for
them
everybody today. No, this is everybody. It's not just them. This is everybody. So there's a whole big thing now in the past couple of years, I feel like, where no food waste is this big thing. And all these places start spinning up services, like ones like Misfit Market. There's a couple names like that. Just the other day, I bought a bag of chips that are called Uglies, and they're potato chips made out of the sliced potatoes, not good enough to be chips, but they're chip adjacent, so they turn them into potato chips. So like Misfit Market is basically like any vegetable it's not good enough to go in a grocery store because it's not perfect, but still edible. And they sell you these big like bundles of food. They ship it to your house all nice. You can get all this beat up tomatoes and celery and God knows what else. And I was thinking about today as I ate my mostly bag of air $5 bag of Ugly chips that was basically crunched up ugly potatoes. If they want to stop this food waste so bad, Josh, why the fuck is all this stuff so expensive? Like, if we already enabled and established here that, like, hey, this is the stuff we can't sell.
Yeah.
So we're going to beat it up more and sell it to you. Why am I paying a premium on beat up food extra?
It's a premium. Like, those services are a premium? Like, it's not, things aren't cheaper?
I'm paying a special price. My bag of ugly potato chips was smaller than a bag of Doritos and was probably just as expensive.
So, because those are like, they're rebranded as Ugly, right? The Uglies is the brand.
Yeah, but they swear it comes from the chips that are too not pretty to eat otherwise.
Well, I guess in that sense, it's like they're collecting up all the chips, but then like there's a lot of work then probably getting them into the uglies bag. I guess I don't know.
Uglies,
In-
here we go. Uglies kettle chips are crafted from upcycled potatoes with slight imperfections. Wrong size, shape, wrong color, wrong sugar content. They could be blemished. They could be surplus. They're not diseased, rotting, or unripe. They're just a little bit extra. So, upcycled food means ingredients that otherwise would not have gone to human consumption are procured and produced using verifiable supply chains and have a positive impact on the environment. So,
okay, so let me explain how I was confused here about this at first. The original potato is the thing that was kind of blemished, not the already made potato chip, which is what I was picturing at first. It's just
okay.
like a potato chip comes down the line, and it's like, "Oh, that one's, like, curled up and, like, a little wrinkly. We're not gonna put that one in the bag." So I'm on board now. So, with that in mind, like, they still have to do the whole potato chip making process. Like, it goes through the exact same process as a pretty potato. It just is an ugly potato to start, right? So, it should
But
cost the
it
same, really.
no, it should cost less because we've established that if this potato that was cut to make these chips was going to be thrown away anyway, because it's not good enough for human consumption, I shouldn't be paying the same price for this ugly, beat up, blemished potato that still tastes like a delicious chip on the back end of this.
Well, here's the thing they're not telling you. Those ugly potatoes weren't going to be for human consumption, but they were probably
It's
gonna
one
be
of
for,
the
like,
pigs.
animal. Yeah, exactly. So they still had to buy them, and they still are buying them, um, from people who would have bought them otherwise, probably. Like, they wouldn't have probably just gotten thrown out. I bet they would have just gone to an animal of some kind. So that's
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 still
probably
gar-
the dark secret of just like, yeah, we're not actually really, like, gaining anything. It's just you're eating pig food.
That's awesome. So like Misfit Markets is like a big brand or a big we ship everything place. They also dropped the word upcycling and they said, "What's a misfit? Leftover ends and pieces of things, discolored things, excess inventory," which makes sense. If I'm paying for excess inventory, I get that one. Packaging issues, I still kind of get. Almost past the best by date, that one I get. And one is it's too big or too small. So like, if you get a head of lettuce that's too big, they're not going to
Yeah,
put it in a grocery store. They're just going to throw in the trash to the pigs.
makes sense.
I don't
And,
even know. I don't even know what part I'm arguing about anymore because
I
this
don't
whole
either.
thing. Now that I'm talking this out, it's absurd from all the angles. But mostly, I was just pissed I paid so much for chips that were beat up and gonna get thrown away.
I feel like you think you should just be getting this food for free. Like, they should just be handing it to you.
It should be like half price at minimum.
I'm looking at Misfit Market, and they have some things that are like 43% off. Like, you can get some bacon ends, and those are 43% off. 20% off for I don't even know what this is. Looks like rice, maybe. 56% off for some broccoli.
Should we sign up for Misfit Markets real quick and try to get an affiliate link before we put this episode out?
We probably should. Yeah, we've that sounded like a host read ad right there. And it did not mean for it
Wow,
to be.
I just went to the site misfitmarkets.com and boy, do they have some deals for all you. You can get some broccoli for 47% off.
We've got to say something bad about them to counter it out. Like,
They're selling me trash food. It's made
I
for pigs. They're selling me goddamn pig feed.
I heard that they use child labor, and yeah, I'm pretty sure they not only use they don't not only feed you pig food, but they also like collect the pig poop, and like every fourth order of broccoli has like a pig turd mixed in. Pretty sure is how it works.
Do you know there's some new gimmick? I'm gonna call it a gimmick because I haven't confirmed it, and I feel like it's kind of full of shit.
Good. I
Well,
like to cover our bases. It's a gimmick. It's not real.
it's probably not. There's some like new TikTok, Instagram video trend thing going around that
No.
like energy drinks are one of the certain ingredients and like monsters. It's basically like dried cow shit that's like filtered, that's like ground up and put into the energy drinks, and everyone's like, "Wow, we're drinking shit now. This is ha ha ha."
This is some real this is some real like Soylent Green is people conspiracy theory level things.
Hold on, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna try to find this real quick. Oh no, you got to vamp until I can figure this out.
All right. So
Make some dumb jokes. I don't know.
I'll tell my we'll overlap some stories. I went on a little bit of a dive today on Dax Flame on YouTube. Do you know Dax Flame, Toby?
I do because we have talked about him before. 'Cause
Oh, we have? Okay.
you try to sell me on this last time.
So, I'll tell the people about Dax Flame. He's an OG YouTuber, like, he's been around for, maybe 20 years now at this point, and at one point, I think I read he was, like, the 16th most subscribed person on YouTube, so, like, back in the day, had some fame, and then has kinda kept making videos this whole time, and he's having, like, a bit of a resurgence now in popularity, and his whole thing is basically no one his entire YouTube career can tell whether he is playing a character or whether he is being himself because he's like super awkward and his videos are weird and like if you take them at face value are like incredibly cringe and generally like not intentionally funny, but then obviously because they're so good at being cringe and not intentionally funny, they're hilarious and everyone thinks that like maybe he's just playing a character and it's this weird like Andy Kaufman-esque he never breaks character thing, and that's where I land on the Dax Flame conspiracy theories is that it is an Andy Kaufman esque. He's been doing this for 20 years and he's incredible at it. And he never breaks character.
He's living the
Um,
gimmick.
yeah. So I was looking up some videos of his like interviews and stuff to see if he ever behaves differently in those. And he apparently went on the Logan Paul show. And I gotta tell you, I know that Logan Paul show is like the most popular podcast in the world, or like one of them at least. But God, is that a bad show? It is not a show that's worth any brain cells that anyone gives to it. Dax Flame was the funniest part of that show, and the other two guys, which is like Paul himself, and then like I don't know some crony dude he has on there, are like anti funny. Like they suck the funny out of a room by like saying the thing that's happening. It's just so weird how actively unfunny those two
You've
guys
been showing
are.
me a lot of those videos, or you showed me some other people recently as well.
I have on Jake Paul's show.
I don't know, like when the Hassan, some other people, blah blah blah.
I don't think they were on Jake Paul. I
Well,
think
I'm just saying, like you showed me other videos of not funny people just like
oh,
commentating
yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was a video of Hassan. I think he kinda has the same thing going on where sometimes he can just ruin a joke, like, in a way that is actually kind of expert at ruining jokes. But yeah, Dex Flame is funny. I was trying to find a video where he broke character and I couldn't find any. So, you know,
Nice.
credit
So
credit to him.
I can't find what chemical it specifically was. I think it might be glycerolactone or something in them, but there was some big conspiracy about that. But you just mentioned the stupid stuff, or the stupid people, or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And this is my last mini story here, or my last mini question before we do the real show. Do you think it's possible? And I'm going to use the word incorrectly here, but you'll understand why. Maybe. Do you think it's possible to devolve yourself once you're at an age to know things to go backwards? And what I mean is, so like I was walking through the woods the other day with my dog, and there was a bunch of leaves, and I was tempted to send a picture and put leaves to like make, because for whatever reason that just made me laugh. Like not that there was leaves there, that there was leaves there. And then I was thinking of other words you could do that to, like instead of just like cows, say cowses or things along that nature.
Uh-huh.
And I'm 41 years old. So like there's a lot of things that I've learned in 40 years I'd actually have to work against now if I wanted to like go the wrong direction with language. I already can't read. So I figured like what if I could ruin my speech as well? And I was just thinking through this and I was like, do you think that you could actively try to devolve yourself in that way if you wanted to? Where at some point I wouldn't even think that leaves was wrong. And I would think that was right. And leaves sounded stupid.
Yeah, I think not to get too political on us, but I think like all of our moms and dads who've been watching Fox News for the past 10 years have done exactly this to themselves.
All right, now come on. We're keeping this fun. But for real, do you think I do? You think I could do that?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm saying no. I mean that's my good example. Like honestly, of like if you if you engross yourself into something so much, eventually you would start like believing it to be the only truth, right? So if you completely, it's kind of like when you're learning a language, the best way to learn the language is to just like go to the country and only speak that language, right? So if you somehow like completely confused yourself to the point where you never heard the correct pronunciation of a word and you only heard your wrong one, I think you pretty quickly would be like, yeah, that's just how that word is.
Okay, so I think at this point then, from like from 30 to 40, I'm pretty sure I've lost a large chunk of the ability to read. I'm starting a little late. I think
You
from
should
41 to 50, I'm going to try to learn how to not talk properly
no, no.
anymore
That's,
too.
that's the one thing I need from you is I need you to be able to speak and put
my,
words
my
together.
end game is going to be just complete illiteracy everywhere.
So you're you're trying to be Benjamin Button, but just with language. Just by the time you
Yeah,
die,
you
you're
know,
just
yeah,
a
that's a perfect example. That's what I
yeah.
want to do. But the exciting part is I'm smart enough to know that I'm doing it. Like I feel better that I'm actively taking a stance right now of like I want to try to regress myself as much as possible and just see if I can do it.
There's a so in the office, in the office, the characters of the office get more exaggerated in terms of their quality as the show goes on. It's like the from the Simpsons that people call it like Flanderization, where like you'll take a normalish character and then you just sort of like continue to make them crazier and crazier based on sort of their traits. So what you're describing is kind of Kevin's arc on The Office, where he starts
He
out
did
as
get
like,
dumb. He
yeah,
did
he
get
starts
extra
out as
dumb.
like kind of dumb, and then by the end, it's like he can barely function. He's so dumb. That's kind of what you're going for here.
There we go.
Again, this is troubling. At what point do we have to call the show off because you are just making baby noises into the microphone?
I feel like that's up to the audience.
That's true. That is true. Vote with your listening ears, I guess. When Toby finally cracks and we have no more.
And then I want someone, it might be you, it could be somebody else. You can reach out and get a backup source if you need to, depending how long this takes. I want this episode specifically like marked somewhere in like a time capsule. So when I do finally ascend to my new plateau, that someone can play this back to me and I can remember that I was smart and then I did this all to myself and then I can get real sad about it. Like
I
a
th-
good like a good thriller drama sad ending. I want to like the end of Tusk.
I was gonna.
I want to be inside my walrus
God
of
damn it!
poor speech and
I
just
was
go
sitting here so patiently
and
waiting to reference
cry.
Tusk. I hate that you got there first.
I was trying to think of a good sad movie. It was
I know
a good sad dramatic ending, and that is the end of Tusk.
it 100% is the end of Tusk. Just the tear rolls down your cheek as you realize it was all your own fault.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be this episode today.
See, I thought that we would maybe go the opposite. Like you don't think you can read anymore. What if we start a Comet Writers book club to get you to read again?
I don't
We can start small, start with small books, nothing crazy.
pictures like comic books with the.
Sure. Yeah, we can start with a comic book. It has words in it. It counts.
I don't know. Even if you're not joking and dunking on me right now, I feel like even if we started a book club, I'd probably have issues. I'm not gonna
Like
guarantee it, but
issues
like,
with reading.
yeah, it's more so that I just read too fast. So the gimmick I tried to sell once to a different Discord of people that were like, "This is the best bullshit answer I've ever heard for this." I read too fast, and so my brain's going too fast that I just mix up the words as I go. So
Yeah.
it's more of an intelligence issue than a lack of intelligence issue. And then I was told that's the greatest bullshit answer ever for what you're claiming is the problem.
That feels like you are applying for the job of being a slacker and they've asked you what your greatest weakness is. And you're like, "Well, I just read too fast. I'm just too smart for reading."
Speaking of being too smart for reading, this has been a ride. Josh, we have a Patreon.
We do. We do. Can I tell you one thing about being dumb real quick before we move on cuz I had this in the chamber. I need to say it out loud. When I was in high school, you know how you hear the term highly functioning in
Yeah.
terms of like someone who has a mental health issue and but like they can do a lot on their own. I worried through like the early years of high school that maybe I was mentally challenged, but I was just really highly functioning and I hadn't hit that highly functioning cap yet. Like maybe I had like the mental capacity of an eighth grader or whatever, and like I'm right there and I'll never get better.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's crazier than my story.
So let's think about the Patreon then. Patreon.com/the comment writers. Toby, $3 a month gets you in that Patreon. That is a bargain, if I do
That's a
say so myself.
steal. You could buy
That is,
so many Misfit Market
yeah.
snacks, broccolis.
Think of how much smushed up broccoli you could get for that. Like probably not a full bag even. Would you rather have a quarter bag of smushed up broccoli, or would you rather have a tons and tons of bonus content from Toby and Josh? I think the answer is clear here.
It
Uh,
can't not be.
it can't not be. Yeah. We are the completely healthy, beautiful broccoli of the Patreon game. You can sign up $3 a month, patreon.com/slash the comment writers. You can access to all of our bonus content. We're watching Boon Boomjer right now. We're watching Common Writer O's right now. They're firing on all cylinders now. We're excited. You can watch those along with us. It's kind of like Mystery Science Theater, but for tokusatsu, and it's super fun. You also get access to our Discord, and our Discord is a fun place where you can hang out and answer all kinds of dumb questions and queries and talk about putting um, freaking hot dogs in toilets. All kinds of crazy stuff happens there. You can also ask us questions over in the episode questions chat in the Discord. We don't have any for this week, but it is there. If you would like to put some questions in there, feel free and go ahead. But without further ado, Toby, I think we are going to jump into the episode discussion for this week, which is covering Common Writer Gav, episode 7. Gav is just rolling on here. We are continuing to get like big things happening in Gav, including this week the debut of our, or the continued debut, I should say, of our secondary writer. We got the first fight and first henshin last time, and we get to do a bit more with him here.
I'm glad that like it's possible that I miss it other times just because of trying to read translations and watching battles and fights and everything at the same time. Like I know Gotchard was Gotchard, and then when Kudo became Majade, whatever the hell it was, like I feel like it wasn't said in the show
I
right
agree.
away, and I
Yeah.
feel like it was just people read stuff online like, oh, that's her common writer name, blah blah blah. So last week we made all the jokes about, oh, he's common writer Valen because of chocolate and everything else, but this week's like intro cold open thing was just the two common writers bullshitting with each other, which we can talk about how amazing that was. But like when he's asked, he's like, "Oh," Shoma's like, "Oh, you look like me. What's your name?" And I guess we'll just call him Valen now, since he's in the suit. Valen's like, "Oh, don't make it chocolate. Don't make it chocolate. Whatever you do, don't name myself after chocolate." And he comes up with like 10 different names, and he goes, "Oh, I'm Common Rider Valen." And he's like, "Shit, it was definitely still a chocolate thing."
Yeah.
But
Oh,
like,
it's instantly chocolate still.
yeah, but like it was awesome. Like again, like I'm sure they was probably addressed other times, other places, but I was glad that he just flat out said like, "Oh hi, nice to meet you. I am
Yeah.
Common Rider Valen." I thought that was a nice touch
Yeah,
for
I think I
for the
think
dumbs like me.
yeah, totally. I think the show of Gav has done a really good job of like in universe contextualizing the names of things. Because like we talked about before, they they started calling him Common Rider on like their version of Twitter because he was a masked person they saw riding a motorcycle, right? Or a bike or whatever. So like they were literally like, I don't know who this masked rider is. So they gave an in-universe explanation for why it's Common Rider. And then they've done the same thing for like what a Gav is, and now he named himself. And Valen too, like I love the in-universe explanation for how these people have their names and how people know what their names are and stuff. Where yeah, because like if you think back to Gotchard, um, they explained kind of the name Gotchard because it was his gotcha, right? So that kind of makes sense. But like Valvarad, did we ever get that explained? No. Majade, no. Like generally, we don't have any of those explanations, and it's just known what the name is, or like you said, it's like just something you see online, really, and doesn't even come up in the show. So I appreciate what they're doing here with that for sure. And you mentioned the um, kind of interaction and thinking to themselves here in this first scene. So we get the little confrontation with them, which is nice. It's like a direct follow up from last episode. So Valen is still henchioned, and um, Gav
He's just
walks up
chilling
to
on the
him,
rooftop.
just hanging out. Yeah, and the back and forth between them I think is so well done because you get what they're actually saying to each other, and it is sort of like very kind of stoic and heroic, and like I am super confident in what I'm saying, and then you get their internal thoughts, and they're both freaking out.
It
And
like, yeah,
the
and
internal thoughts
especially
are shot really well too, because it's like it very clearly is like inside their head the way they're shooting it without having to like explain to you that these are internal thoughts.
yeah,
And
and
I
it's like
think it's really cool.
it's the thing like they did like God Shard a bunch where like they're talking like we'll call it inside their helmet. Like
Yeah.
it's like a blacked out special room or like okay, they're
It's like it's
talking to
like it's
themselves
like Iron
slash
Man does in the Marvel movies. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. But yeah, all that was good and like they both had this fun coyness of like, oh hey, you're kind of like me. Like, are you a monster? Or do you fight monsters? And then everyone's like, no, 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 I just fought the monster. You saw. And you're like, oh yeah, you did. That was pretty cool. Yeah, like we could probably partner up. Oh, that sounds like a good idea. Oh no, but what if he figures out who I am? And like it's a fun back and forth, especially because of again, like we've been predicting the past 2-ish weeks now. Like they have to have the actual run in where they figure out they're each other.
Yeah.
And this seemed like close to the beginning of it. There was a scene later in the episode when uh, Valen goes to visit Shoma at the little office that he lives in with Chica, and he's like, "Yeah, I do this search every week on Common Rider." And then Shoma's like, "Oh fuck, he knows." But then Valen's like, "Oh shit, that's too obvious because I'm a Common Rider now." And like
Yeah.
they're doing the best job about dancing, like they're about dancing around with it still. And it's kind of close to my prediction of like they're going to talk about the toys together or something stupid like that. But like the tie right now being, oh yeah, I had her doing research for me on Common Riders. It's just as good. Like it's still right in that wheelhouse of you're both right there. There's this third entity tying you together that you're both addressing but not really, and all sorts of good shit like that.
Yeah. I had kind of predicted early on that with Hanto being this investigator, and he knew that, a Granute killed his mom, and eventually we're gonna find out the Common Rider is a Granute. Like I figured the easy answer was gonna be, oh, I think he killed my mom, or I think he's a bad guy, and then we have that whole, I'm after you and I'm gonna get you type of dynamic. And the fact they've turned it on its head where now like both of them know that they have a secret and are trying to keep it from each other, but they don't know that the other person has a secret.
It's
I
the
think
same,
is
and it's the same secret.
Yeah, and it's the same secret. I think that's really interesting that they sort of baited us with like kind of what you thought it might be, and then have really turned that on its head throughout these episodes. That's been a lot. That's been really fun. And yeah, it's really like also this episode too with the internal dialogue is really showing off their character really well. It's like we're both getting their serious heroic side, but then their like internal kind of goofy, like brings out the youngness in them, which is really nice. I like them both as characters a lot after this episode too.
Yeah.
But Valen is much like Shoma. Valen is bad at being a common writer. He's bad at having a secret. He's like he leaves the office as you were describing, and he was like, "Oh man, I guess I'd have to change those search terms. I don't want anybody asking questions." I was like, "Ah,
I think it's funny that he's like, "Oh, I'm an investigator. I'm looking for the Granutes that ate my family," like not knowing what they were obviously, but he's like he is acting like he's the big investigator, and now we know that he's just paying people off to search for him.
mhm."
I think that's a nice little goofy touch that I can now blame him and say he's not that good at his job.
um, I like at one point in this episode he insinuates that he's like so busy that he has to offload this like Google on the internet one time a day for Common Writer. It's like this is the only case we've seen you working up until now. I think you just don't know how to work the internet is really the problem here.
I think it's hilarious that like of all things, like all he's really asking for is, "Hey, can you give me a report on one search a day?"
Yeah,
Like of all
literally
things
one
of all
search a
things he could
day.
do is like
Yeah.
he could just type in Common Writer. Or then we like I guess kind of tied to that. Like there's been a bunch of cell phone stuff throughout all the shows. Obviously they have smartphones now still. Like it seems like you'd even just Google it yourself. Like he has a phone
Yes.
or some sort of contact device to like get out in the world, and there's just so many options. It's not this.
Yeah, because like Shoma literally pulls up the car, like the work order, basically for Hanto, and it says like search social media for Common Writer and report back. Like just it literally is like one search a day, and tell us if you find anything. Yeah, he should just set that search up on his own and just get a Google alert for it or something. Come on, man. Um, so I like the interaction between the two of them. I'm glad you liked it too. The kind of in the helmet stuff. It was a little goofy, but it was super fun. And like, I like that they both come to opposite realizations about each other when they're in costume too. Like, oh, you're a granute that was operated on, or you're a human that was operated on. Like they both kind of come to the same answer of like, hey, you've been messed with to get this power, but approach it from opposite ends because they're thinking of their own situation. That was cute. Uh, I also like that Shoma decided just to call himself Mouth too.
I like it when when they both walked away. They both kept trying to walk the same direction, kept like tapping into each other because they
Yeah.
were so awkward. Like it was almost like an awkward first date where you're like, okay, bye, I'll see you later, and like one person goes in for the hug and the other person goes in for like the handshake, and then like you both stop and you switch what you're gonna do, but you still don't match and
Mhm. Yeah, totally.
all the things.
All the things. What are you gonna do? Toby, we also get some behind the scenes with the Stomach family. Nielv is um, implanting something in one of his little workers, one of his people with the galves. We don't know what necessarily he's putting in him, but there's some surgery happening.
And when
So
that now he knows, all you gotta do is piss the person off after you put weird stone, goo, candy, whatever is in people, and you're good to go.
yeah, I guess so. And we also get to see the twins. They are, I guess, confronted by Glotta. Glotta is the um, taller of the Stomach sisters, and I think she's the one that's over atop of the like production line, if I remember correctly. But basically, she comes and she's like, "Hey, is our supply down? What are you doing?" And the twins are like, because things aren't going so great lately right now." And Glotta,
Our little dark storerooms are getting hijacked by the cops, and
yep.
our flop houses are flopping.
So Glotta decides basically she's gonna take some matters into her own hands, which we see a little bit later in the episode. And then also throughout this episode, and kind of like a weird thread, I guess. Shoma and Sachika are going to work for her great aunt, who lives in like this big mansion, and basically she's called them to clean the house because the maid, I think, is gone for a while. And we find out while they're there cleaning the house that the rich aunt is basically the patron of two different artists who now live with her. Um,
Patreon.com/great aunt.
exactly. So one of the artists is very happy. She's kind of sculpting. One of them is very upset. He's painting and he's like hating his work and think he's doing a horrible job. Um, Shoma at one point is like helping the woman who is sculpting and breaks off the sculptor's arm, and she loves it. That gives her a bunch of inspiration, and she's doing amazing. And like the painter guy is like sulking, and he's like, "Oh, I can't believe you're doing so good," and he's mad about it.
I think my
So
favorite part of like when Shoma was talking to the sculptor girl, when he breaks the goofy little statue because he thought it was candy, she does the pure anime vibe of she turns like the darkish, like ghastly haunter purple, and like kind of just like sulks and storms out kind of deal. And
yeah,
I was giggling because it's such a silly thing to see in like live action kind of deal. But it was like the pure anime vibe of you can tell they're very like morbid, pissed, sad. It's a very distinct look.
yeah, very very like we normally don't see quite that cartoony of an effect in Common Rider, but yeah, like it was overt and fun. It worked. It was definitely played for like, good laughs, and it fit. Didn't feel out of place really, but it was yeah very over the top. Um, so yeah, I guess we'll just continue their thread through. So basically, the Gav that was being the the bad guy, the bad Granute that was being operated on eventually shows up to the house kind of pretending to be an art critic or an art broker, I guess, or something like that. And he kind of whisks the female artist away to Paris, is what his explanation is. And then come to find out, because of the Gochizo spies that are all throughout the city now, he's actually a Granute, and Shoma finds out that he's a bad Granute and shows up to fight him. Um, so that's the girl side, and then the guy side is that Sachika tries to help him and inspire him, kind of brings him some stuff, and he ends up again being angry and throws a bunch of paint on her to finish his side out. So I don't know what is happening with him. I don't know why he's being so mean to our girl Sachika, but I hated that part.
I mean, like, at least for the way it works with some other stuff. I feel like it's gonna be some weird ex girlfriendy relationshipy vibe thing where like she looks the same because he was like, "You don't even know what kind of person I am," and like hawked out. So I feel like it's gonna be some weird thing where like he's projecting what he thinks that she thinks kind of deal.
Hmm,
And I think that usually leans more towards like relationshipy things or like poor parental guidance or something along those lines.
could be, could be. Shoma, of course. I mentioned the Gochizo that he has. He goes to visit. He goes to visit the uncle, his uncle Stomach, and the uncle Stomach gives him a cell phone. Speaking of cell phones, Toby, he's got his version of smartphone
I
from
was so
Godshark.
stoked. I was very excited. They have like the cool hacked cell phone now.
Yeah, and the gimmick of this cell phone is that he can stick a Gochizo in it, and it will literally play him a video of what the Gochizo has seen, which feels like a really like overpowered power to have. He literally has eyes all over the city now. Conveniently, this was also a nice way for him to find out that uh, that Uncle Stomach didn't operate on Valen because he played a video of Valen and Uncle Stomach didn't recognize him. So it was like, oh, so you didn't modify him. So someone else must have. Interesting.
There's tons of wacky science going on down here.
And Honto Valen is also looking for another wacky scientist, and at the same time, he is wondering if there's any other people that are like Suga out there, any other Granute researchers, because again, from his perspective, he's thinking that someone put a Granute organ in a human to make Shoma, so he's wondering if anybody else out there could have done that if Suga didn't do it.
And
So
even like the little sugar Hanto stuff. This episode is pretty good. Like it's not as in depth as it's been other times, but they at least did the funny stuff. Like Sugar's like, "Oh, here's your little side friends. You know, don't be careful with them because we have to keep getting more."
yeah,
And then they turned into like, "Well, if you know where to get more, or if you can like try to meet the other common rider, so I can ask him how he makes them, like that would really help you too." Just so you know, like lots of like breadcrumbs everywhere
uh,
for them having to be like know each other for real and being like, "Hey, you're you and I'm me and we're friends," and all that
yeah.
stuff.
That's such a cool gimmick of like, I have to use your Gochizo to henshin, so I have a very limited supply because I burn one every time I transform, right? So like you either have to steal more or you have to make friends. And I like
You have to
that.
make the one friend that distinctly has these, or at least
Yeah.
follow him around more.
Find the correct friend that poops these out, and then you're golden from that point on. So yeah, I like all the sort of entangling between Hanto and Shoma that they're doing here. Uh, and then of course that the video is how he figures out the art director guy is a Granute, and Shoma of course shows up there then to confront him, and we have a big fight. We get to see a new Shoma form in that fight. He also takes on Chakodan, which is kind of Valen's sort of base power, but Shoma's version of it is kind of like a Wild West fighter. So he's got like a chocolate cowboy hat on, he's got a poncho on, and he treats his gun a little bit more like a six shooter. And it's great. I love everything about the Wild West chocolate guy.
And it's hilarious to me because, like, looking at the toys, like the gun, that gun was very distinct on the website. There's also the white chocolate version at some point, and it looks so like crappy as a toy, I guess. It looks
It's
like so cheap and like seems poor quality to make and all these things. And but like the show always does, like it's literally what they use in the show.
yep.
So seeing this fancy ass common rider on this brand new TV show with this toy that looks like half baked from the '90s bootleg something else. Like it's just a weird duality, but amazing.
It is, yeah. I love the commitment to using the show props, using the same basically the same ones as the toy. Because then you get a terrible toy and a terrible prop in the show, and it's just so funny. Yeah.
And the also fun part of Chocolate Shoma here was since they're all their own little people, the Gochizos, the Chakodan Gochizo basically murdered the plain one and was like, "My turn." And then we saw the little ghost fly away, and Shoma is like, "Wait, what?" And he just kind of like makes forces him to henshin into Chakodan.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is like, yeah, every time we use one of these guys, they're dying. They're gone.
And
He
now
has
they're
to
just
keep
killing each
producing
other.
more. Yeah. And then Shoma also makes a box to store all of them in, and of course, Toby, that
Well, he made him a
box is also for sale.
house. He
Yeah,
made him a house. He didn't
it's a
make him a
box though.
box.
It's out. He made it out of a box. But that box with the stickers on it and everything again is available for sale. You can get it for $40 right now on Toku Collectibles, and it comes with a a special Gochizo.
As they always do.
Yeah,
It's funny because I feel like that toy specifically has been out for pre-orders for a while,
it
like
has. Yeah.
longer than I remember seeing other stuff. And it's just funny that like I mean now is a reference point because at first it just seemed like haha gotcha like gotcha thing whatever like hey here's where the chocolates come out of this is silly, but now it's actually like oh that's why they did it because it's actually in the show as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a weird it's a weird no matter who did it first, whether it was a toy and then it was in the show or in the show and then it was a toy. It's like a weird thing to make. Cuz it's like it just looks like a cardboard box with stickers on it. And I know that's what they're going for, but it also is just funny. That like this is a product that we're selling. Um but yeah, the it's a good fight, good form. I like all of that with Shoma. And then Honto also gets involved in a fight, Toby, because Honto shows up a little late to the art gallery and it's already trashed by the time he's there because Shoma and his fight is already over. But while Honto is there poking around, Glotta shows up because she's kind of on the case of what's been going on too. And Honto, in quick investigative order, realizes that she is a Granute and then very quickly realizes, like, oh, that means that they can all transform into human form. That's why we haven't been able to find you guys. um, and right as the episode ends, they are beginning to fight, which is very exciting. I'm excited to see like a real member of the Stomach family get her fight on.
I mean we obviously know that he's most likely going to get his ass kicked because he's even less trained than Shoma, and
Yeah.
she's I would presumably she's like a final boss ish person, so it really should be no big deal.
Yeah, he'll be fine. There'll be no issue whatsoever. Yeah, I hope she's not a pushover because like we've seen that the agents are pretty tough. Like the like little guys, the little wolf guys or whatever, are pretty tough on their own. They're not like putties where you can just take out 20 of them at once. So I hope that the Stomach family are equally as formidable when we finally are seeing their power unleashed. But yeah, I'm liking all the kind of swirling around they're doing. I'm liking how they're bringing Hanto into the story, and I'm worried, Toby, about my girl Sachika because she's getting disrespected.
She got paint all over
She did. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do on that front for sure. Any other thoughts about the episode, Toby?
I think we ran the gambit here of all of it because it's there wasn't like a lot of things happening this episode. I feel like, but it just solidified things we already kind of knew happening.
Yeah,
Like a good chunk of it was uh, Gav and Valen's inner duels with each other as well, and then like I feel like the other part of the story was just kind of there to fill in the other half of the story, kind of deal.
sure. Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, again, like obviously another solid episode. Everything is progressing as it should. The chocolate boy and the candy boy. I feel like we're just once again like one episode away from just solving that problem
I think
of
so. Yeah,
who figures out who's who when and where does that go. When that point is figured out, I kind of feel like I don't want Suga involved in the group, but I feel like he's probably stuck in the group. Like he's still gonna like he's gonna do his weird sciencey things outside of Shoma and Hanta being friends, and like he's gonna be like the side evil kind of until the uncle steps in or something. So I guess that'd be like the next big plot with all of them to me once the friendship is revealed.
I I'm kind of my dark horse prediction is that Suga turns out evil. Like I think after that surgery, I just don't think that character can be all good. um, so I kind of maybe see um Suga thinking he can get his claws in both common riders, and then Hanto sort of at that moment realizing the true nature of Shoma in some way, and realize like them becoming, true friends and true sort of like teammates. So then he kind of has to cut Suga out of the equation. Like he doesn't need Suga anymore. He can get his his
Just
his
fixed for
his
free.
exactly, yeah. So that's my guess is I think Suga maybe turns evil at some point, to kind of flip it on its head maybe. But yeah, I think I'm really really enjoying Gav so far. It's much better than I even thought it would be, and I think that I don't know, like there are definitely parts. I really enjoyed Gotchard too, but there are parts of Gotchard, like episode arcs even of Gotchard, where it just feels like you guys don't know what you're doing, or like you're making this up as you go along. And a lot of the stuff around like Kudo's dad, for example, springs to mind with that. I'm just like, yeah, it doesn't feel like you had a long term story here. You just sort of are figuring it out week to week. The stuff with what's his name's dad too, Hotaro's dad is the same thing. I'm just like, oh well, we thought we were gonna show him, and then we decided not to. But so far with Gavin, I know we're only seven episodes in, but it feels very like intentionally crafted, which is
In which we
nice.
basically like I mean we give them credit for that every week basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so we'll give them their credit again. They once again proved that they have a what seems to be a super solid plan going forward. They've fired on all cylinders and hit all the marks so far. And just gotta keep trusting and keep going.
And I'm liking that it's a show that doesn't. I like that it feels like it's an episodic TV show instead of a series of 2 episode arcs.
Yeah.
That's been a very nice change of pace. Not that I hated the 2 episode arc structure that Gotchard fell into, but like it's nice to feel like that's not how it's always going to be. But anywho, Toby, let's jump over and read some emails to finish out the
Ooh.
show. We have an email address, which is cast@commonwritersucks.com. Once again, that is cast@commonwritersucks.com. If you would like to send us in emails, anything that you would like us to know or would like to share with us, or any of your opinions that you might have, you can send those over there. We've got a couple emails this time around. First one comes in from our friend Shade. Toby Shade says, "Hello, everyone. It's time for more Gav. I'm a bit busy this week, so I'll just send some cool stuff I found. In today's episode, we see Grotta in action for the first time, and people are already down bad for her. Toby, are you down bad for Grotta?
Is that cool kid slang?
That's cool kid slang for like being horny for her.
No, I don't think so.
She reminds me of the tall lady from the Resident Evil game. You know what I'm talking about?
Lady Lady Damask the
Yeah, something like that.
Machescu,
Yeah,
the Chescu, whatever it was.
Dima.
I just played
Yeah,
Resident
it's
Evil 8 not that long ago,
yeah.
and when I finally heard her name spoken out loud versus the way it's spelled, it was very like I don't know, like Romanian feeling or like
Well, that
that
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, that tier. And it was out loud. It's completely different than what I thought it was, which is why I don't remember now.
Hmm. The internet as a whole, a- and I get it.
It's
Listen, I
very
get it.
horny. I agree.
Well, it is very horny, but it specifically is very horny for like tall girls. Like
Cuz like
that's like a it's a
cuz
thing.
Big Mommy can step on me.
That's what it is. Yeah, it is that. You're right. It is that. And again, I get it. It's not it's not my thing, but it also isn't my thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm not upset about it, but it's not like my thing. It's not my kink, I guess I should say. But it feels like it is the collective internet's kink for sure. And
Wonderful.
or at least it has been for like a few years now is the whole yeah, I need a giant mommy to step on me thing. Yeah. Well, Shade says, What's even more surprising is Grata's actress herself horny posting about her own character. So this is translated, but the actress posted on Twitter, Grata Nisama kicked me in the face before spanking me on the butt. So there
This
you go.
is this is my uh Abyssal Sister issue from last season, amplified.
In what way?
Because why we gotta get horny on Maine all the time?
Oh, yeah,
Why we
yeah.
gotta be living these weird lives outside and just being like, hey, I'm on a kids show slash let me say dirty things to hype up the nerds.
That one's especially funny because it's not just like she is a woman who is doing a sexy thing and then also she is on a kid show, which is the one from last season. This one is like she's writing fan fiction about her character doing things to her. You literally can't separate it from the show because it's literally about the character. Which is great. Shade goes on to tell us that someone noticed that the Chokodon gunfight in this episode is an homage to the 1992 film Hard Boiled. And yeah,
That's a classic.
if you go and compare the scenes, um, there's a scene in this episode where the Granute and Shoma are running along a wall and kind of shooting into the wall as they go. And there's a scene from Hard Boiled where all of the movements kind of match, where one character is running through like a series of rooms and the other character is running on the outside of those rooms, shooting through like windows and like ducking down as the windows come and go and stuff. Um, and it's very well done, and like it's one of those things where the movements are so exact and the camera shot is so precise that like it clearly is intentional. Like there's no chance that it would be just a coincidence. So that's super fun. I love little references like that and the way things are shot. Um, Weirdly, Toby, that's a thing that comes up in wrestling a lot of like wrestlers pulling kind of entire sequences from past matches to use in their matches, and people are really good about spotting those things. And the side by sides are always super fun to see.
I want you to know that that was on Twitter just now, and we got some posts like this person says, Chitos Mashi, you are a fucking icon for knowing Grotto's fans and how we're fucking simps with a face with a little prayer hand. And it's a link to her TikTok in which the camera is low and she like sexy struts over and then kicks the camera in the face.
Oh no!
And this is on her official TikTok.
So she's
So
like,
there's a
she's
weird dark hole that's been opened by this stomach lady that I don't know that that can be around.
you need her to be a little bit more wholesome.
Yeah, she's supposed to be the matriarch of the family, not simping for weirdos on TikTok with her feet.
She is doing some TikTok simping. Uh, Toby, TikTok's such a weird platform. Can we talk about TikTok for just a moment?
No,
Um,
we need to finish these goddamn emails,
all right.
and then we can
Finish
talk
the
about
email.
TikTok or whatever the hell you're talking about.
um, Shade says that the guy who hacks Common Rider belts has created a master Gochizo that can become any of the existing Gochizo. So it's actually pretty cool. It's like a 3D printed Gochizo case, it looks like, and it has a little screen. And when you press a button on the side, it cycles through the different Gochizo faces. Like he's got like a little like image for which Gochizo is currently active. And yeah, he just can press the button until he gets the one he wants and plugs it into the driver or plugs it into the gun, and it works like a regular Gochizo. That's very cool. I like that level of hackery. That's pretty fun. And then Shade sends us some behind the scenes photos as well of the surgery and of Sachika posing with the two Common Riders, which is a very cute little picture.
We can send us behind the scenes pictures of the our new queen here.
Yeah, that's true. Like you guys want to get some exclusive feet pics? I'm a member for OnlyFans. And then Toby, our next email comes in from one of our new favorite listeners. Come
Oh
and
no.
ride her. Come and ride her says, "Hi, Josh and Toby. Hope you're doing well. After last week's podcast, I realized I should match the tone of your other emails to help transition better from one topic to another. Hi there, Come and Rider here with more Gav trivia. In this week's episode, you might have missed a hidden character at the 10-minute, 74-second mark. That's right, Oxygen. Often overlooked but essential, Oxygen's been in every Common Rider episode except for XA12 when that one actor forgot to breathe in the rain. Fun fact from this week's director's blog, quote, "Yeah, if they don't breathe oxygen, it's kind of a big deal and they die." There's some trivia for you,
I
Toby.
I I don't know who this person is. This is a wild timeline we splintered off into, and this is amazing.
This is Kamen Rider. I feel like these emails are starting to feel like we're in some sort of Saw-esque trap. And each
I've
week
never been so excited then. Don't tell me that, because now I'm all aboard.
each week they're just gonna get crazier and crazier, and we're just it's just gonna see how long it takes us to go completely insane.
I appreciate the commitment to the commitment to the joke.
It is very good. Question time, Kamen Rider goes on to say. In this week's episode, we see Shoma finally create an infrastructure for his Gochizo to live in a society. However, however, with the rate he is birthing the Gochizo, being concerned about population control is a serious issue for him. If you were Shoma, how would you hide the thousands of Gochizos that are popping out of you? Put them under your grandmother's bed? Throw them into the river? Sell them to Hanto for profit? I'm curious what you guys would do. Well, so we, as we discussed earlier, he kills them just as fast as he makes them. Really, like every time he's putting one in that belt in that gav, it's dying, and then every time Hanto uses one, it's dying. So he's burning through them. But he still does have hundreds. We do know that as well. So maybe he just makes another cardboard box, Toby. Maybe he just keeps making cardboard boxes.
That'd be a fun way to do it. Like, it's not really the same thing at all, really. But like at one point, I had one record shelf,
Yeah.
and now I have four record shelves, and each shelf holds between like probably like 200 to 300 records. So it's almost like the same thing. So I'll just put them out in my room, like all my records are, instead of having like kind of artsy looking things. Let's have cardboard boxes everywhere.
And here's my question for you: how many crimes have those records helped you solve?
Uh,
Let
I'd
me
say
stop
like
you right there.
one and a half.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I have Batman records. That counts.
Sure. Yeah. No, it doesn't though. It's not the same. I need you to understand it's not the same thing. Your records aren't out patrolling the city, being your eyes and ears. Listen, you might have a Batman record, but they don't literally make you Batman, which is
It
the
would be
problem
way
here.
more. They would be way more productive for how much they cost at this point if they would go out and patrol the city and help me out a little bit.
What one nice thing about Gochizo was, as at least as we've seen so far, they are produced from Shoma eating, but they themselves do not eat. Because otherwise, Shoma could potentially like kill the whole world, right? If he makes so many Gochizo and then they all have to consume things to stay alive, eventually they just eat the whole planet, right?
It
So
would
it's
be
it's
fun if they ate each other.
ooh, it would be. I feel like if they ate each other, it'd be like straight to Facebook minion memes with you. Like that's all they need. Here we go.
Banana.
um, Kamen Rider says, lastly, I re-listened to the final episode of Geats for your puns, Toby. A comedy of errors was a solid one, no matter what Josh thinks. Thanks for recommending rewatching. It was weirdly nostalgic, as Geats is how I found your guys' podcast initially. Keep up the great work, both of you. Hope to hear more puns and fun stories. Quote, you've never experienced a ride like this. Sincerely, Kamen Rider.
That was actually good.
Yeah, that is good. I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want Come and Ride Her to know that I appreciate all my email children the same. So just
Me too. Me too. It
if
feels
you and
it
if
feels
you
more
if
cheap
you need
when
to
I
get
say no.
if you need to get stepped on, that's like your thing. Like Shade wants us to read an email. You want to get like stepped on or something weird. Just let us know. Josh will take care of it for you.
Am I doing the stepping?
Yeah,
I don't look great in
it's
high
your
heels.
show. Like you have to pander to the people that pander to us.
Okay.
They say, "Hey, Josh, step on me." Put it on TikTok for the people. Simpy Daddy, I don't know. You got to help them.
Simp, Simpy Daddy. What if I just start featuring like Grotta photos in all of our thumbnails from now on?
You probably should.
I probably should. Like genuinely, probably should.
Yeah. Like specifically this episode. Whatever I know like the YouTube videos are titled clickbaity this season. But like you really need just to find like her looking hot and make that the thumbnail and just make some comment about her being hot.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I do know there's a I can't think of the name right now, but
Put
there's
her in
a
your stomach.
there's a, like, retro gaming YouTuber, that I was reading the other day was talking about, like, he did videos, like, normal video thumbnails, and then he started putting, like, the sexiest woman he could find from, like, the game that he was playing, like, whatever it might be, he'd pick out some official piece of art that was kind of a sexy lady and would feature that in the thumbnail. So he didn't change his videos at all. He just put sexy ladies on the thumbnail, and like his views went up like crazy amount just from like people clicking on it because it had a sexy lady on it.
I
And
told you this as a joke, I think even for geeks, where on my YouTube channel, my consistently most clicked on video with the lowest retention rate is one where it was like a Yakuza 4 playthrough, and I made a joke in the title about like massage time or a sexy massage or something along those lines because Majima, one of them, like literally got a massage as part of the story, and not even like a dirty massage, just a massage. But like it has the most traffic of any of my videos, I think, like overall, and it's only because people are weirdo perps and they're clicking on like, hey, let's,
exactly.
yeah.
Well, that's true too. Like, what is it? Beyond Wrestling, I think, is the company. Um, if you go look at like basically if you go look at any wrestling promotions top videos, like most popular videos, it's usually going to be like an intergender match, like a match where a man faces a woman, and usually like the thumbnail will be the one that is like maybe the raciest looking, just maybe, and maybe that's by chance. Like there was a particular match, I think it was Beyond, where it's an intergender match and it had like 2 or 3 million views or something insane where like the channel itself only had, like a fraction of that as subscribers. And it's yeah, when you really break down like why that's happening, it's like, "Ooh, this is gross. I feel gross now."
All right, so I double checked the analytics where I was talking. The video is called "Sexy Massage Yakuza Zero Yakuza Zero Gameplay Part 23." The thumbnail is the guy completely wrapped in a towel laying down, and the lady, like the worker lady, standing there. This video has like 9,000 more views than any other video I have. It has 54 more hours of watch time overall. The retention rate is 20 seconds. So they literally click on the video because of the name only, realize it's Yakuza gameplay, and then close the video. So
Yeah.
it's both getting me clicks and completely fucking my retention at the same time.
Yeah, totally. Uh, well, congratulations. And too bad for all those people out there that are looking for weird massage porn on YouTube.
Actually, no, this is what I want you to do for this time. I want you to make the thumbnail that you would have made normally. And then I want you to make the sexy Glotta thumbnail. And then just do because they have the A
I
B
think I have the
testing
A/B
now.
testing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I want you to do it that way, and then we'll see what thumbnail wins at the end. I'm pretty sure I know what's going to be, but we can test that. We'll talk about it next week
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Toby, where can the people find that wonderful massage video if they also would like to see it?
on youtube.com/slash Tobes Plays or tobesplays.com. They both the same place. If you click on that video, you leave it fucking open for the 22 minutes that it is.
You're
Do not,
obligated.
do
Yeah.
not. We've talked about this now. Do not break my retention. Help be the change we want to see in this world. You can also find me on Twitter at Life of Tobes, and that's a little more normal than YouTube.
And if you want to open up some comment writer videos and just leave them running all day too, I wouldn't hate it. Just really it'd really
Yeah,
help out the channel. It
boost
listen,
retention.
exactly. If you want to support the comment writers and you don't have the money for the Patreon or don't want to join the Patreon, one thing you can do, just leave a video running. It's great. That, that
click
helps us
click
immensely.
click play on the playlist and just walk away and go on with your life.
Oh my god, I would love you to death. Yes, please do that. And then when you walk back to the computer after it's played like 40 videos, maybe just leave a comment that says like "LOL, this is great" or something. And then we're solid. You're my homie for life if you do that. Toby, for me, of course, you can find those YouTube videos, youtube.com/prettydeece, or just search for the comment writers. It has all been rebranded now as the comment writers on the channel, so hopefully that makes it easier to find as well. And you can find me on Twitter at prettydeecejosh. All right, Toby, I think that is going to wrap us up for the show for this week. Gav is still going great, and we hope you to join us on the Patreon for the other shows that we watch. But we'll be back next time, and we hope you come back too for Gav episode 8. And until then, have a great week, everybody. Peace.